Oh, wait. Good evening, distinguished viewers. Today, we are going to be taking a look at the very last Absolute comic that I have picked up, which is Absolute Superman. Now, yesterday, I made the mistake of filming after I read Absolute Batman instead of before, because I was just so excited. So we've done that video. That video's been uploaded. You can check that out now if you'd like. However, today we are just talking about Absolute Superman Volume 1. I am so excited. Superman is such a inspiration to me. His hopefulness, his desires for truth, justice, better tomorrow, his ideals. He is just a hopeful character. And this comic art cover, all of the covers for that matter that I saw at the store, they're giving evil Superman, and part of me is interested in seeing that because I think that's a much more realistic route of an alien landing, and not understanding our culture. They'll be a bit out of touch from our culture, maybe not evil, but out of touch for sure. But it's been so overdone. I mean, we got Homelander, we have Omni-Man, we have Brightburn, we have Injustice Superman. It's a story we've seen before where we have these superpowered beings, that aren't hopeful like our Superman we know and love. So let me get this out of the top loader, read it, and I will record some reactions and stuff and review it. I want to say, reading this real quick, just issue 1, there's some interesting world building. So we're in Brazil right now. Clark Kent has been narrating a lot of it, and peacemakers are like army men that are around Brazil enforcing basically slave labor, which Clark Kent kind of goes all over all of that, in grueling detail. But I just find it so interesting that they used Peacemaker as such a character. That's really interesting to see, and it's makes me question if we're going to see more of that, maybe tie into Absolute Batman, if we'll get some more references. Because I'd imagine all of the Absolute comics are together. I believe Absolute Wonder Woman is also out. Don't quote me on that. Don't quote me. I think I saw something about it online, but I just found out yesterday that Absolute Superman was a thing, so I might be wrong. Okay, first impressions on seeing Kal-El in action, just in case some of you guys are reading this. That's the cover. That's the art page that I'm on at the moment. I'm loving this. I'm very glad because he definitely still has heart and soul. He's fighting for basically like the miners that are being mistreated against the peacemakers, which are working for the Lazarus Corporation, which is all really cool. You can see a lot of these things tying in, like I mentioned before, last clip, peacemakers. I'm loving this. This is a young-looking Kal-El, which matches the 24 younger Absolute Batman. So that's very fitting. I'm really glad that they didn't go the dark route, because they totally could have done that. But they did, like I mentioned before, they did include that confusion of our culture, because they brought up a conversation with one of the miners where he's like, you keep fighting but you have nothing, and he's like, I've seen your world. Like he's trying to grasp an understanding of the world, and I love that they included that, because that is such a fitting thing for Kal-El, for Superman. Someone not of our planet, and I really want to know more of his backstory, more of his upbringing, because it sounds like he didn't have Ma Kent and Pa Kent, so this isn't like Clark Kent, this is Kal-El, and he is a lone wolf, it appears. Alright, so we just got an interesting reveal. Agent Lane, well, it's Agent. It's not reporter Miss Lane. She is a Lazarus agent, which is interesting. She's arresting Superman currently. Kind of feels like it's a little odd to me to see them repeat that over and over again. I shouldn't say over and over again. It's just Absolute Batman and Absolute Superman. But Alfred Pennyworth was going after Batman, based on higher up orders, and now Lois Lane is going after Superman based off of higher up orders. And I don't know what's going to happen next, but it's very possible that they pull exactly what Alfred did and start to help the title character. Which I hope they don't do that. That will feel like such a cop-out, but still, I'm sure they will. Brainiac. Brainiac is a part of the Lazarus Corp. All right. And he apparently bought the Kent farm. Okay. I really love this, but this is the first reveal of Kal-El on Krypton. He looks to be about 6, 7-ish. Like, he's old enough to remember this when he gets sent down to Earth, which adds a whole new layer to the character, may I add. But yeah, that's how it ends off. That's pretty crazy. They literally ended off by showing off all of them hugging on Krypton, and he looks old enough to remember this. Now, I think this adds a deeper layer of significance to Superman's character, of course, because when he gets to Earth, and accepts them like as his own people, and they accept him as to some degree, there's definitely a level there that feels probably more alienated for him. He's old enough to remember. He didn't get there like as a baby. Ma and Pa Kent, they're not gonna sit him down and be like, you know, we found you as a kid. You're not actually ours. You came from the stars. He knows that already, and so I think that this is nice because, like my first thought is it will probably reach out to a lot of kids, who like foster kids or adopted, because there's the like a lot of kids either get adopted like really young, like original Superman kind of got adopted by Ma and Pa Kent, or when they're older. And I feel like this Superman still super hopeful, still has that hopefulness, and I think kids maybe who are like adopted later on, when they're older and can remember things like about their life, might find this to be an interesting story if they go the route of like him remembering Krypton, him using his heritage mixed with his new home, what he's accepted as his new home. And I think that they can do some pretty interesting stuff now that Absolute Superman remembers Krypton. I'm kind of upset with just issue 1, but that's just because it's only issue 1. I don't want to critique it too hard because, like I said, it's just issue 1 out of a 5-part series. It's supposed to be 5 issues, just like the Absolute Batman comics. But it still feels too early on. I feel like we barely got to see Clark Kent. We saw, or Kal-El, I should say, because he doesn't have that Clark Kent personality. It hasn't been established yet, anyways, as a reader. I'm not sure if it will be. We didn't see the Batmobile until volume 2 of Absolute Batman, so you never know. I'm a little bummed out because we saw him steal some diamonds, and that wasn't even on the page. It was just he mentioned that he did it. We saw him walk around Brazil hooded, and then we saw him get arrested after he tried to beat up some peacemakers. I want to know what's going on with the peacemakers, and they're tied to the Lazarus Corporation, which also has a tie to Brainiac. Like, there's so much about this world that is familiar, but because it is the Absolute universe, it's different. You can tell it's Brainiac because you see the mini worlds surrounding him. You see like the purple, the green. Like it's very clear who they're trying to reference. But I just have to question, like, it's also have to be a reference to the Lazarus Pit, right? For Batman. That's my instant assumption. But yeah, all of these ties, they're all familiar. They're all things that we know of to some degree, but we are also totally unaware of what it is because of the nature of this comic book, which is why I find this so exciting, because it's really taking these characters and it's really refreshing them for us, first of all, so that we are reading them for the first time. But it adds another layer of questions like, wait, peacemakers are soldiers? Is like what? um and so yeah, I have a lot of questions that I really hope that the next couple comics will answer. I hope to see more world building. I definitely want to pick up the other Absolute comics, hoping that there is more world building and more explanations for each of them. We haven't even seen like Smallville or like Daily Planet. Like I'm wondering if those will all be in it. Metropolis. All we've seen is him working in Brazil and then getting arrested. So I'm just yeah, I'm left with a lot of questions after that volume, after that issue, I should say. But it was good. It was really interesting, really fun, and I think that all of these Absolute comic books should be seen as nothing more than that. Should be seen as just a fun little thing. It's not nothing that you have to take too seriously. It's just like, hey, this is a world out here. It doesn't affect this world, but it's cool to read about. And I brought that up when talking about Batman, and I brought up how it's going to be a lot of really weird for some people because the proportions are so funny. This dude drives a giant dump truck, like he literally has like a fitted out killdozer pretty much, and I brought up how that's gonna be weird because it doesn't feel like as grounded. One person who I'm actually close friends with in real life, one of my coworkers, commented and saying like, yeah, but there's also like Mr. Freeze, for example. Like he's not very always grounded, but Batman is such a grounded character and gritty. And I think that they keep the grittiness and they kind of let themselves go away from the ground a little bit and just to give themselves a bit of freedom. This Superman story, it does keep the heart of the character. You can tell he's trying to do good, but you can also tell that this is someone who doesn't understand humans enough to know how he can do the best good. Um and so I love that he's trying to do that, and I love that they keep that heart of Superman, and then it's not like an evil Superman. It definitely gives me like he's frustrated with himself vibes now that I'm looking at the comic book cover, because I mentioned how it looked like kind of evil at first, but no, he just seems lost, like he wants to do better. And I think looking back at the other two comic covers that my local comic book shop had as well, um, I think that's the best way I could probably explain it. With that being said, that's my review and reactions to Absolute Superman Volume 1. I hope you guys have enjoyed. I'm enjoying looking at all these comic books, so I can't wait to do it with more and more. And I hope you guys have enjoyed. I hope you subscribe, like, comment, interact, and I'll catch you on the next one. Goodbye.